Hello, and welcome to It's Evolving, a Pokemon-ish podcast. For those of you who don't know me, which may be most of you, hi, I'm Austin. I am a singer, actor, content creator, but most importantly, a massive Pokemon nerd who's just trying to navigate the world. Now, this first episode of It's Evolving is mainly just to introduce myself to you and to tell you what the point of this podcast is and will be moving forward. So, first off, why Pokemon-ish? So, I truly love Pokemon. Pokemon is one of my absolute favorite things in the world. But it's not the only thing I like, and, we are all multifaceted people with many different interests. We're not just one-dimensional beings. So I usually want this podcast to center around Pokemon, and most episodes will probably tie back to Pokemon and be about Pokemon, but there may be a week where I'm just feeling like I want to talk about cheese, or, my dog, who just barked, just did this really funny thing today and I want to talk about it. Or, maybe I want to get into some more serious subjects, like dealing with some actual struggles that some of us face, like anxiety, depression, and, I was recently diagnosed with ADHD, which you may see as this podcast goes along, because sometimes I cannot stay on topic. But anyway, if you have seen my content on Instagram or TikTok, you probably know that I am truly, truly obsessed with Pokemon. As I'm recording this, I am actually sitting in my office surrounded by Pokemon objects. I have a Pokemon game holder right next to me. It's shaped like a Pokeball. I'm wearing a Pikachu t-shirt. I am holding my Eevee wallet while my Eevee Evolution mouse pad is right underneath me. I'm wearing a Pokemon hat. Everything in this office is pretty much Pokemon. And what can I say? I am truly, truly obsessed. But, the list really goes on and on and on. But I wanted to talk a little bit about why I'm so obsessed with Pokemon. Pokemon for me has just sort of, in a weird cliche sounding way, always been there. My sister, who's 5 years older than I am, was playing Pokemon before I could read or even talk, really. And I started playing Pokemon before I could read. I would play her copy of Pokemon Gold, and I remember, the only thing I remember about that first time I would play it was there was a Feraligatr, and I would always use the move Surf. And that's all I remember. But I grew up playing it. I grew up watching the anime on the weekends. It's just always been there. And then when the first Pokemon movie came out, Mewtwo Strikes Back, I remember seeing it in theaters and just being very overwhelmed at a very young age. For those of you most of you probably don't know this, as most of you probably don't know me yet, but I was adopted when I was born, straight at birth, as was my sister. We're both actually biological half-siblings, which is a fun little tidbit. But, so I was adopted, and in that movie, at the pinnacle of the movie, at the climax, Mewtwo says, "I see now that the circumstances of one's birth are irrelevant. It is what you do with the gift of life that determines who you are." And I knew from a very young age I was adopted. I always knew. It was never something that was kept from me. So hearing this prominent character in a media franchise that was heavily featured in my life at the time, it was one of my largest interests, really validated my existence as like a 5 or 6 year old. It was really incredible. I still can't explain it. It's just that movie has so much meaning to me. So many people in my life will sometimes laugh about how obsessed with Pokemon I am, and I'll joke about it too, because it truly is an obsession sometimes. But the true reason I love it so much is because of the impact it had on me at such a young age. And, that's not to say that Pokemon is perfect. Like every gaming media franchise in existence, there's no way to please everybody. There are going to be some mistakes made, and those are it's totally fair, it's totally valid. But I am one of those people who, because of the impact Pokemon has had on me, I tend to forgive anything they do. I tend to look past some of the gaming issues that have existed because to me, I don't care. But that's really what I wanted to talk about, was just how much Pokemon means to me, and, as you can tell, I'm very new to podcasting. This episode may not be longer than even 8 minutes long. I don't know how long I'm going to ramble, but I actually had a plan for the first half of this podcast, and now I'm just talking. But no, I do have some more talking points. And clearly the ADHD is bouncing on through right now. But so the point of this podcast is that I just really wanted to say, with It's Evolving, that you don't have to center yourself on one thing. Your identity is not purely based on one interest you have. And I think that it's really important, especially in the world we live in today, to see that, like, you are more than just what you present on the internet. You're more than what you like. Like, I don't know how to explain that, like, right now. Like, I am rambling a lot. Okay. What I'm trying to say is that we all have multiple interests, and we are all constantly changing and adapting. And that's the main point I wanted to get across with this podcast. It's Evolving is sort of a culmination of all of my love for Pokemon, but also my love of everyday life things and silly things and dumb things and annoying things, And yeah. As I said, this first episode is really just to introduce you to the idea of It's Evolving, and my skills as a podcaster are definitely going to be evolving as this goes along. This has been something I've been wanting to do for a really long time, and I've been too scared to do it. I've wanted to start a podcast for probably the past 3 years, but I was too scared to do it on my own. And I will say, in the past couple of years, I have truly evolved to a point where I feel more confident about doing my own things. You see what I did there? Okay. So, if you're still here with me and dealing with all the awkwardness and just like figuring it outness, I appreciate you, and I promise things will get better as we go along. But I really just want to have a place to talk to you all. I want to have a place to talk about my favorite things, and if anyone's listening, great. If no one's listening, then I'm just speaking to the ether, and it's a good excuse to just talk to myself, which I do anyway. Wow. All right. Anyway, you guys, I am really excited for this journey I'm starting with this podcast, and I really hope that you are excited to be here, and I can't wait to share this with you, and I can't wait to evolve with you all. So if you are interested in following along, please check out It's Evolving, a Pokemon-ish podcast, and feel free to check me out on my social media channels at Austin Tip on TikTok, at The Austin Tip on Instagram, and thanks for sticking around, and we'll see how this goes. And now's the time for my cringy sign-off. So thank you all for joining me today, and I will catch you later, trainers. Goodbye.